Calling the Souls, Gender and the Cycle of Life in a Hmong Village. Chapter 1, Hmong Cosmology, a Balance of Opposites. You're going to learn about the Hmong village life in Thailand. You're going to learn about Hmong belief systems, and you're going to learn about Hmong cosmology. Calling in the Soul, Gender and the Cycle of Life in a Hmong Village by Patricia Simons. Patricia Simons was a Brown professor, Ivy League. She got her PhD in her 50s. She did original research in the late 1980s in a village in northern Thailand. She became fluent in Hmong. She had an ethnographic study that examines Hmong cosmology beliefs about the cycle of life as expressed in practices of birth, marriage, and death. Her book is called Calling in the Souls, and it's about the role of women in Hmong society. Calling in the Souls is the chant that the Hmong use to guide the soul of a newborn baby into its body on the third day after birth. The Hmong, or Miao as they're called in China, or the Miu in Thailand, are a patrilineal group granting little direct power to women. Still, Hmong women hold considerable influence in the spiritual critical realms of birth and death. Beliefs. Hmong death ritual chants from northern Laos. Jacques Lemon states that the transition from life to death is often expressed by the Hmong as a journey to the sources of life. Cycle of death, birth, and death are not opposed. They're different stages on a continuous journey. If you look at the cycle of human soul, you will see that it is in a circle. Sound and silence. Childbirth is the domain of women. There is no sound or screamings in childbirth. The third day after the birth, the man of the household calls in the soul and names the child and introduces the child to the world. This event is accompanied by loud noise, chanting, and banging of the divination horns on the door. Hmong research on gender. Political, economic, and ritual spheres are restricted to males. Women have no public voice in these arenas. Hmong lineages, spiritual rituals, and public life are male. Daughters marry non-Hmong men. They too become non-Hmong, as will their children. Hmong society is dependent upon, quote, outside women for survival, not truly part of their husband's lineage until death, when they join his ancestors in the land of darkness. Married women are not their husbands, do not use their husband's surname, but their father's. Take a look at this household or prosperity altar. The components of the altar represent the spirits of wealth and possession for a family. Hmong's views of life are cyclical. It encompasses both birth and death and reincarnation. Take a look at this image. It is a shaman altar. This is where the helping spirits of a shaman dwell. The bench on the right side becomes the horse the shaman rides to find the missing soul of a sick person. His face is covered by the cloth mask, which separates him from this world. Take a look at this figure. It is a figure of a household altar and a shaman altar. Although the upslope wall of a house, the small spirit bridge leading from the shaman's altar is a passageway used by the shaman's spirit helpers. Death and the ancestors. The origin myth says that in the beginning of time, no one died. The land of darkness is responsible for life and death. Here is a traditional Hmong house in Thailand. Very interestingly, these are Hmong beliefs and causes of illness. Most illnesses and accidents are seen as a result of being out of balance. Illness is attributed to soul loss, itself a form of being out of balance. Hmong are aware of other causes of disease. Diseases are considered hereditary. Other diseases come from natural causes. Cold and bad weather, for instance, can put a body out of balance and cause sickness. Complementary and opposition. Birth is described in two parts, the actual physiological event and the soul calling ceremony, 3 days later. There's also two parts to Hmong funeral rites. Birth and death themselves are complementary parts of a single whole. Hmong conceptual paradigms follow the Chinese medical system in which the body contains two kinds of qi or life force. Cold yin is associated with the female and hot yang is associated with the male. This is from Nicholas Tapp's book. As Nicholas Tapp has kindly pointed out, personal communication, the hot-cold dichotomy of the Hmong is derived from the Chinese medicine rather than from Ayurvedic, which is more common into Southeast and particularly Indian society. And this illustrates the opposition complementary theme so central to Hmong cosmological thought, especially as it pertains to gender. The earth and the sun are female. The sky and the moon are male. Men with the left side of their body because the right hand toils and the left hand rests. There's a massive importance of the brother-sister relationship. It's complementary and opposition. A long time ago, after the world was deluged with water, the only couple on earth was a brother and sister. And these brother and sister instructed them to marry one another and have a child together. When the offspring was born, it was not a child, but a monstrous piece of flesh. Sob advised the couple to cut the flesh into many pieces, and these pieces become all the different inhabitants of the world, including the Hmong clans. Brothers have duties to sisters. Brothers also have to bring rice and paper spirit money to his sister's funeral. He makes sure that her husband and his family have provided everything needed for her journey to the next world. He also makes sure that his sister's debts are paid to the husband and his lineage have been paid. Sisters also perform the duties for her brother, ensuring that he has a safe passage to the other world so his soul can be reborn as a human being. Learning outcomes. You learn about the Hmong village life in Thailand. You learn about the belief systems and also the cosmology.